This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
You know, I've never been more afraid of a job in my life. There's nothing broken with Shake Shack. In fact, it's beautiful. And who the hell am I, fancy ad guy coming in with a point of view? But I never felt that. I've never been more afraid, and I've never been more certain that that fear is okay.
I love when you have somebody from your past, but they're not even like we've sort of shared history, but not really. And like, I've seen you do you, and it's like, I root for you, even though I'm 3,000 miles away from you, probably because, I don't know, is this like a narcissistic quality? Because we started near the same place. Like we come from the same
Because
roots.
we're both bald.
That's really this concludes the podcast, folks. Bald guys have to stick together.
Stick together.
We're gonna lock arms. But it's been awesome, Michael, watching you dance and bounce and stay curious. And I think the thing that got me, because it's not like I haven't been watching your success for a while now. It was the article, man. It was the article. It was the article that you courageously put out that made me go, I got to reach back out to Michael and just say, and at that point, it wasn't like there wasn't a motive to be like, now you must come on the podcast. It was all love. And I'm like, good for you. And wow, this is what we're talking about here. And maybe you can share, because it's better coming from you anyway, a little bit of, just tell us about your life, your entire life, and the article itself.
Well, I think the article you're referring to was an article called My Shadow Family. That actually wasn't about marketing or business at all. It was about my journey from being a little baby to the moment I'm in now, but told through the lens of being adopted. So I grew up on Long Island with the most festive, joyful, loud, often dysfunctional food cooking, food eating group of Italian immigrants you could imagine. Right? Like, all of my aunts had these massive arms for making dozens of meatballs every Sunday, and people gathered around a table and squeezed in, and it was great. But I grew up knowing I was adopted, that this was my family, but somewhere there were other people who maybe were family in a different dimension. And honestly, I never really cared. I was never one of those adopted kids who felt a kind of hole or a yearning, and they're out there. My brother growing up felt so empty and rejected, given away, and I never felt that way. You know, we had adopted, in my parents' parlance, the dog, the Christmas tree, the car. I felt very normal. But during COVID, Governor Cuomo in New York changed the law. He opened all of the sealed adoption records in New York, and so it became easy and irresistible for me, with a few strokes on a keyboard, to find my birth mom. So why the hell wouldn't I? And we did. And it was doozy, man.
Yeah.
Thanks to Governor Cuomo and Google, I found that my birth mother was this woman named Erica who lived in rural Maryland and worked at a McDonald's and looked super sad. And I just thought, nah, I'm gonna stay away from this. I didn't need it. Seemed like she didn't need, like, I was gonna stay away from this. But then, damn it, I discovered her sister was a Shakespeare professor at Emory. And I was like, oh man, Aunt Gretchen, like, you feel like my people. So I did. This was courage. I think this was courage or stupidity. I don't know. You'll tell me the fine line between the two. But I emailed Aunt Gretchen and I go, I'm breaking the rules. I'm not supposed to do this because you might not know about me, but I'm your sister's son. And she got back to me instantly. She said, Michael, we talk about you every day. I am so glad you've reached out. And it
Okay,
was beginning. Yeah.
hold on. Okay, I mean, there's so much. All right, first of all, little Michael. Well, first of all, you weren't little Michael at this point, although little
Not at
Michael's
this
probably.
point, no.
But still, like, I do think we're little boys and girls trapped in these adult bodies, right? So there's
Oh, you're
probably
right.
like
You're
a
right.
little Michael's eyes is getting this email back, and I'm sure it's like, ding! Oh no! Oh my goodness! There's a response.
Yeah.
Like, do I click on it? Am I ready to click on it?
Yes.
Just click on it. So as you click on it, like, did you wait to the end of the day, or immediately you saw it? I'm like, click, and you're reading this.
Great question. Oh, it was immediate. She responded to me immediately, and I opened it immediately, and we probably swapped, 15 emails back and forth over the course of those next couple of hours. There was just an
Wow.
instant kismet and ease. I ended up auditing a class she was teaching online about James Joyce short stories. It was amazing.
Okay, so you now have this connection, not with mom, but with auntie.
Right. Who said, we talk about you every day. Ricky, that's what they called it, not Erica. Ricky is going to be so happy about this, but it's so good you didn't reach out to her because her husband doesn't know you exist.
Oh,
And they
jeez.
share an email.
Am I reading like a novel? I feel like I'm reading like a salacious novel is this a beach read?
Well,
What is
I don't think we're at the good part yet, man.
Yeah.
So time goes by, and I'm sort of surreptitiously communicating with my mom, Ricky, through Aunt Gretchen. Until one day I get a Facebook friend request from my mom, from Ricky, and I click it. And the message is not actually from Ricky at all. It's from her husband, who says, "Hey, Ricky just told me about you, and you look like a great guy. Your family's beautiful, and you're a dog person. And we're dog people, so I know this is going to be good." And I'm like, what? You've gotta honor people who throw open their arms when their world has been knocked on its side because they see you're a dog person. Like, that's awesome. What a testament to character and love and joy. I loved it. But eventually I did connect with Ricky. And she wasn't sad at all. Whatever Google images there were had it wrong. She was funky and feisty and delightful. And she told me her story, which was, she was a rocket ship. She kind of was a star at college, president of student government, went to New York, joined the Macy's trainee program. Such a star there. They sent her to Columbia to get her MBA. She got her pilot's license, flying around the world, the youngest buyer of garments in Macy's history. And then she had me. And as she put it, decided that it wasn't right, that I would have a better life with somebody else. Now, very reasonable story, and the way she put it, she said, and I had work to do. I had a meeting to get back to, and it was so nonchalant and so drama free that it made me feel very resolved, very at ease. There was no pain. There was no pain here. It was a decision made in my best interests. I loved her for it. And then she said, and soon after that, I was done with New York and moved to Pennsylvania and became a waitress. What?
Yeah.
What? What's
Yeah,
going on
record
there?
scratch. Give me more there.
Yeah, no, right? And she goes, in time, I'll tell you. She goes, I bet you want to know about your dad. And I said, well, yeah, of course I do. And she explained he was a hippie with hair out to here. And she put her little hands as wide as they could go around her skull, which made me very upset because I don't have hair out to anywhere. And she's like, and his name was Mark, and I'll tell you about him over time. I can't tell you about him now, but I'll tell you about him over time. And then she died. And Aunt Gretchen died within months of each other. And this door that had opened.
Hold on, how much time you think went past between is it like you're talking about a month? You're talking about 3 months?
All
A
of this
week?
happened probably over the course of a year.
Okay.
So from my getting my birth certificate, to meeting Gretchen, to meeting Ricky, to visiting Ricky in person, to Gretchen dying, to Ricky dying. Yeah, it's about a year and a half. It was fast. At a moment when you thought you had a lot of time, you know? That door opens and you go, "This is awesome." Here I am, family extended, and then gone. And no, 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 I don't think it was necessarily COVID related. It was a couple years, yeah, the year after COVID. Um, no. I mean,
So here you are with like a couple pieces of the puzzle now. Your mom's passed away.
yeah, and like I said, I think I was good going into this. I didn't have a hole in the heart that needed filling. But now that this door had opened, I was hungrier to learn more about these people who gave me biological life. I was curious. And it sucked that literally the secret of my father went to my mother's grave. I was never to know.
Wow.
And I tried to do some research. A guy named Mark who went to this college, who was a hippie, who had big old hair and nothing, 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 nothing. In fact, I thought I found him, and I harassed this guy, but he was like, "No, dude, I'm telling you, not me." That was fun.
So, can I ask you real quick?
Yeah.
So you have your life as you know it, and then this, you let the toothpaste out of the tube here, and you're like, okay, here we go. But are you coming back to your own dinner table and like reporting back on what you're learning and discovering?
Oh, dude, this was such group entertainment for me and my family, my kids and my friends. I mean, every step of the way, it was, what are the theories? What's going on? What have you learned? What have you shared? It was a family and friend adventure. It was great. And but again, I think that's why we all felt like it sucked that we were at this dead end until
Dun dun dun.
ping. I open an email and it's a guy who goes, "Hey, you're my half brother. 23andMe tells me that you are my half brother." And I asked my dad this morning, "Dad, did you have another kid?" My dad said, "Yeah, of course I did. Doesn't everybody know about that?"
Oh my gosh, this is so crazy.
And my brother's name is Michael, like my name is Michael, and he
Oh,
works in
come on.
publishing, and he lives in New York. And he and I met. We zoomed and then met for a drink in New York, and he is just lovely. He's fun, he's feisty, he's great with words. It's funny though, because there were also some elements. I remember getting off the first Zoom and I said to my wife, I was like, he's great, but like he's also a lot in some ways. Like, it's obviously clear he's smart, he uses big words, and he really likes the sound of his own voice. And Joanna turns to me, my wife, and she goes, "Oh, so he's your brother." I'm like,
Yes, I mean, it's just like I was like, Oh, wait, no. Let me hear my voice right now, honey. Let me hear my voice.
Exactly. Exactly. But listen, that led to me meeting my dad, who is and his wife,
Hey,
who
Michael, how much
yeah,
time, by the way, how much time is between your mom has died, auntie has died, and this email comes in? Is it
a
like,
really quick 6 months.
wow,
Really
amazing?
quick 6 months. Yeah. And again, I thought dead end, brick wall. And 6 months later, there I am with my dad throwing his arms around me at a pub in New Jersey
Oh my
and
gosh.
hugging like he meant it.
I
And
mean, the obvious only question one bald man can ask another is,
he has a
how's
great head of hair. He has a great head of hair, Ryan. Oh my God.
I
Oh
need a
my God.
picture. I need a picture.
I do. I'll send you a picture later. It's
All right, good.
he's a special dude, and his wife is amazing. I mean, we're going to our first ever Seder next Thursday at their house. Again, I was
Um,
raised Catholic, but dad's Jewish. We're going to our first Seder, and they're just so warm and generous and welcoming, and they instantly love me and our kids, and I couldn't ask for anything better. But I
All right,
did
hold on,
ask for
Michael.
something.
As an optimist, I mean, I'm an
Yeah.
optimist, but I'm also
Yeah.
going to tell you the guilt part's coming. I'm just letting you know the guilt part's coming at some point. And just be ready. Buckle up.
Well,
It's-
here's the big twist. Here's the big twist that I learned. He hadn't spoken with Ricky in 50 years, really, since they parted after I was born. And I was telling him about the story, and he was kind of nodding, curious, very engaged, only at the end to tell me that it was riddled with lies.
Wow.
Ricky was, I'm sure, in so many ways a phenomenon, and she worked at Macy's, but other parts of the story didn't really cohere. She told me she had a roommate, she didn't have a roommate. This is bizarre, dude. He didn't even know she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
Right? I guess she was a bit of an athlete. I guess for whatever reason, I was pretty tiny in her belly. Like, he didn't know until she began hemorrhaging on the sofa one day, and he rushed her to the hospital that she was carrying a baby who was his. But the big kicker is that she, like so many people we know and love, she was an alcoholic. And
Wow.
it sort of unraveled a lot of her life. And in many ways, no one told me this, but I think she had enough self-awareness to know one of the reasons she needed to courageously give me away was because she maybe didn't trust that she could be the mom she'd want to be. So again, a real act of love, but also a kind of sadness and a tragedy. Um, yeah.
I take
Yeah,
back
that
my beach read. I redact beach read, but I am, like, look, as someone that loves story, and that's, I think, where we're aligned, right? And like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you and your publisher brother must have talked about writing a book called My Other Brother Michael. Like, that's like the perfect title.
Brothers Michael.
Yeah, have you,
Um,
is it, or do you feel like you don't need to tell that story?
I don't know. I don't know, Ryan. I'd written a book a few years ago, the only book I'd ever written, and it was sort of nonfiction, business meets self-help, all about inspiration. And I loved the process of writing it. But at the end, I was so clear that I wanted to write something narrative. So sort of,
Yeah.
like you've just done. And it's a different skill. And I thought, I don't know how to write a page turner. I know how to tell a story, I think, but I don't know how to write like Grisham and Ruth Ware and these people who keep you up all night flipping the pages. And so I kind of put it to the side for a bit. I ended up writing this article weirdly because I met a publisher, Susie Weiss, who's a publisher at the Free Press. And we were talking about it over dinner, and she was like, "All right, I want 3,000 words by Thursday." And I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, no, no, by Thursday, we're publishing this by Christmas." And I'm like,
Beautiful.
"Holy shit!" And so I wrote this article, and it all sort of came out. And again, I didn't know. It was therapeutic for me, but dude, I was so humbled by the response. Hundreds of adopted kids, of adopted parents, biological parents saying this story unlocked something in me. And it was everything from, I thought I was weird because I was adopted and not bothered by it. we always hear the stories about adopted kids who are real, but thank you for validating my experience to moms going, I gave up my kid and you've given me hope that she's okay or he's okay. Like all of it. And I thought, well, shit, maybe I can write. Maybe I can
Wow.
write. And
I
so
mean,
I am thinking about something a little more long form. I was so privileged to grow up in this bizarre universe called Long Island in the 1980s. And I remember walking down the streets with my breakdancing crew, listening to the Beastie Boys, drinking Southern Comfort at
good
like
old days, baby.
age like 12. And I don't know. I think I want to share some of those stories, if for nobody else, myself.
Well, I guess, I'm curious, now that you know about your mom, do you have a different relationship with alcohol? I don't know what your relationship was before.
Oh,
I'm just going from the Southern Comfort,
oh,
or
how
that's
could
not,
I not? What a kind of really incisive question, dude. How could I not? And, especially with COVID, like a lot of us, my drinking kind of got to be, I could pretend and call it a ritual, but I think it became a habit. Um, I'll tell you where it's become a real kind of acute concern, though, as I now look at my kids. I have 3 boys, and I go, "Oh,
totally.
shit.
Yep.
What happens there?" Like, what's in the gene pool had always been theoretical to me. It's no longer theoretical. I
Right.
know it's in the gene pool, and over here is a little chromosome that says alcoholism, and over here is a little chromosome that says giant heart and full of love. And of course, we raise our kids and do the best we can, but we also we give our kids our genetic material.
I'm thinking about my parents. On my dad's side specifically, my grandmother was the socialite with the cigarette and the phone, the cordless phone in the garage with the
Oh,
scotch.
beautiful.
That defied logic and was like the jerky. She just lived to like 100. Somehow it was all kept in. And my grandfather was a card player.
Mm,
And so guess what my dad doesn't do a lot of?
yeah,
And guess what? I love
yeah.
cards. I love playing cards, right? You talk about genetic. I don't know if it's a gene thing or what, but like I could see why my dad is like under indexing on that. And like I love to play games. It's like my total space. And I think about this exact, and my dad really does not. Rarely do I see him
Yeah.
drink because of that. I
Do you
I'm
do you
not sure.
think about gambling as an act of courage?
I think gambling is. It's funny when I talk about it with my friends, and it depends on the gambling. So if it's a card game, then I think of recognizing the risk. I think it's less reckless than you think, but it's definitely gambling. There's a delta.
Mhm.
I think sports gambling, I've changed to I call it guessing. I mean, that's the only way it's guessing. Even with the data that you have, I think that's more reckless. It's guessing. I see it as an entertainment cost. I've chosen to chalk it up as an entertainment cost, not a genetic thing. But I'm also not living in a card room like my grandfather was. I have a life and a job, and like that's the priority and the primary thing. And every once in a while, I'll get to guess. I'm air quoting guess on a sports game or whatnot. I wonder, Michael, if we were brought together this time around because just like I'm not J.R. Moringer, which was Agassi's Pulitzer Prize winning author,
Yeah,
and that's the book
amazing.
that's what Landon wanted. When Landon asked
Mm,
me to like that was the bar. I'm like, I write pithy one-liners on Twitter. Like, are you sure I'm the guy?
yeah.
Versus a well-known writer, right, or author. And my takeaway after 6 years, it's like if you give the plant water and sunshine and you do it consistently, you're going to make something great. As long as you don't get in your own way. It's an
Mhm.
amazing story. It's an amazing story, and you can help a lot of people. I'm not saying that's even the story you want to tell, but maybe I know I have a screenplay that I have to do. I have to do it. I just actually said I'm a state it and create it guy. So here we go again. Like I'm
Good.
letting I'm putting it into the universe. I think maybe you write yours. I'll hold you accountable. I'll write mine. By the way, I don't want to make you do something you don't want to do, and it's not like you didn't
I
just
do,
start
but
a
or you're making me do something I do want to do, which is pretty good.
I want to honor that you have a ridiculously cool new job too.
I
But that said,
do.
which we're going to talk about here in a minute, but I will absolutely play accountability partner for you if you play accountability partner for me. And it could even be like every other month check-ins on where are
Yeah.
we at, and we figure out a date that we want to have a vomit draft on. And this is a handshake agreement if you so choose to say yes, because I have to do that. Like I moved to California to write movies, and
Did
I
you
never meant
really?
to. Yeah, I basically, the way that I've always worked, I just,
Why
way
why
back.
movies? Why movies? Why did you decide movies were your kind of medium as opposed to books, novels, TV shows,
Well,
journalism?
I think if I mean, now I'm going back to the beginning, right? But, I love my parents, but nobody raised me but a television and a soccer ball, right? Like 3 o'clock came around and I was home for hours and hours with nobody around. And that was just called normal. It wasn't a thing, right? So I was even playing a sport or the TV was on and I was enamored by movies. And back then, TV wasn't what it was, where it was like, oh, there's it's an arc and there's 4 seasons. What? It was binge watching. We never said those
Yeah.
words, right?
Yeah.
So I was more fascinated by movies, and I think back in the Messner, Viteri, Berger, McNamee, Schmetterer days, this is the old agency that we were at.
Yes.
All I wanted to do was to be a creative, and it took me 4 years to get into the creative department and lots of night school. And I finally got my chance. And then once I got in, I'm like, well, now what do I want to do? Okay, let me go back to night school and start studying story structure. I did the whole Robert McKee story classes, which was amazing. I still have my notes. And I wrote 3 scripts in the city that I thought, the stories are good, but the dialogue needs work. And let's see what happens. And I mean, if I really, really, really was gonna be a fastball, take it seriously, I probably would have or should have moved to Los Angeles. And I moved to San Diego because my best friend and his wife after 9/11 were like, we're out of New York. They chose San Diego. And I was gonna live rent free with them for 3 months, help her turn a photography studio into a branding firm, and write movies on the side and be inspired by the beach and then go to LA. But, my movie, the joke is that became my first company. That was our first agency. And it was 4 of us out of a house. And then you put your head down for however long. And here we are.
And Ryan, is your writing, is it kind of autobiographical in nature, or do you kind of process things through other people's stories?
Almost always through other people's stories, as a dreamer and a body jumper. It's funny. I'm teaching a friend's class in a couple weeks. It's like an intro to marketing class. And the best way I can describe it is I'm going to make everyone take their shoes off and bring them to the front of the room and be like, tell me about this person. What are they like?
Yeah.
Who's wearing these boots? How old are they? I mean,
Yeah.
how long have you and I been doing, compensated observationalist work?
Yeah. I know exactly, right?
It's no different than that. What about you? TBD?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this was really my first foray into storytelling with words on a page, and it was obviously a memoir. I rushed it out. I think it was very, very earnest and heartfelt, and maybe that's why it was good. I didn't have a lot of time to think it and tinker with it. But I don't know, I like laughing. I like reading David
Yeah.
Sedaris, and it's heartfelt, but it's also pretty goofy and hysterical. And I would love to experiment with being able to write in a way that makes people laugh the way we laugh when we're with our buddies.
But you kind of felt that through the article. I felt
Oh,
like
thank
it was,
you.
I felt it was vivid. I felt it was heartfelt. I felt, although it was your story, you were very intentional about making us feel all the feelings across the spectrum. Like it just feels like a movie or a book. It felt, especially like, I mean, I'm not saying like if I was playing with this, if you did My Other Brother Michael and each of you took every other chapter, the lens could be very interesting. By the way, I'm not saying you need to drag your other brother Michael into this. But man, it, to your point, at the end of the rainbow is something that can help a lot of people. There's peace. It
Yeah.
seemed like a great story.
Yeah. Like he said, I'm super busy with this amazing gig that I've got, but I'd probably be better at work for writing a little bit more on the side, and I'd probably be better at writing a little on the side by working hard during the day. You know, these things feed each other, don't they?
Well, again, let's blend into what you're doing. And,
Hmm.
first of all, when we spoke last, I'm like, yes, I love your title. It's the right title. I mean, honestly, the amount of companies I see right now that don't have somebody thinking about, I mean, the title's Chief Brand Officer, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so, and you've done some cool shit before here, but before we get into all that, try to connect the dots from the story you just lived. What do you bring from that into this role at Shake Shack?
Oh, it's such a wow. That's a great question, dude. I don't have a canned and contrived answer if that's what you're looking for.
I'd rather not have the canned and contrived. I'd rather have the fumble through because it's so human and it's so like is there really a difference between the two
So
versions?
I don't know if you've ever met Danny Meyer or seen him speak or read his books or listened to his TED Talks, but he's the founder of Shake Shack. Amazing New York City restaurateur, fine dining, Gramercy Tavern, Union Square Cafe. And he started this hot dog cart in a park to raise some money to rehab it. And next thing you know, Shake Shack is born. And next thing you know, 25 years, we're a global company listed on the New York Stock Exchange making billions of burgers a year. Like it's an amazing story. But Danny's whole thing is about hospitality, what he calls enlightened hospitality. And the idea that sometimes restaurants get really, really good at the food, but they forget why they're good at the food. They're good at the food because they really love bringing kind of joy and wonderful experiences to people. They love getting people under the roof and around a table and feeling comfortable and giving them treats and surprising them with delights. And so Danny embodies the gospel of hospitality. And it's funny, I've never made this connection before, but 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 at the root of hospitality and the way we think about it at Shake Shack is this very simple notion of hello, I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. And I gotta tell you, that was the grace I was given when I met Ricky. She opened the door in her house in rural Maryland and she looked me up and down and she said, "My God, you've changed," which was hysterical. And then she flung her little bony arms around me. And as Mark did at that pub in New Jersey, "Hello, happy to see you." And again, I had never made that connection until you asked the question, Ryan, but the idea of going through the world with shoulders back and arms open and smile on and a disposition to feel, "Hello, I'm happy to see you." Maybe that's a connection between the story I just lived and the treat of a job I get to do.
Yeah, man, I love that. There's a warmth to it, and in the spirit of burger puns, it's probably pretty rare. Right, to feel that welcoming and that warmth. And the other thing that really resonated is the table itself. Like
Mm.
I worked on Hot Spring Spas. This is a hot tub company, and they actually had like a 3 years of data to say the kitchen table isn't what it used to be. And like,
Yeah,
because the dinners aren't happening there anymore. And then when
that's
they
right.
do, they're rushed. Technology's on the table. No one is connecting.
Yep.
And they saw the hot tub as the new kitchen table, where it's like,
Yep.
guess what's not going in there? The cell phone. Like it's an elixir for conversation. But would you just
Mhm.
explain like the power of a table at a Shake Shack
Mhm.
is pretty special, right? Like they're little moments that I have with my kids at a Shake Shack table, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to do this again. We got to keep it special, but I want to do this again. And I feel that hello, how are you? You're welcome here. It's more than the
Yeah, it's
food.
it's it's funny. So, my background, as you know, is as a brand strategist, working at many ad agencies and a few companies along the way. And I'll tell you the truth that you already know, which is that often we brand strategists have to squint and tilt our heads to find the insight. Here's the is Dos Equis interesting? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it could be. Not the case with Shake Shack. Not the case with Shake Shack. I interviewed probably 150 people at dozens of Shake Shacks around the country, from New York to Texas to the West Coast. And I'd ask people very simple questions. How does it feel to be in a Shake Shack? Don't talk to me about the food, but how do you feel when you come in, when you leave? Do you have a soundtrack playing in your head? Tell me about the music, like all those fun personification exercises. And man, I was shocked. Person after person said, "It's spring day. It's the first day of spring. It's the last day
Mm.
of school. Summer is starting. I'm riding my bike. It's the park. I'm in an Adirondack chair. Patio in Austin. Fairy lights. Feels good." And and these were people I was talking to around the country in the middle of winter. And in the middle of summer and spring, I mean, it was a kind of pretty long research project, but it seemed to me on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Manhattan, something about Shake Shack was evoking the feeling of springtime. And so we went a little bit deeper into what that was about, and I think it's ultimately, sure, it's about warmth and human warmth and connection, but I think it's about liberation. Do you know 70% of people who eat fast food feel guilty after eating fast food? NPR did a study
Wow.
that said 30% of people who eat fast food feel guilty the minute they eat it. And you don't feel that way at Shake Shack because you know it's better. We take a real lot of care in our craft to make sure it's not a belly bomb that overwhelms you. You could eat a Shack burger and it's filling, but you could be about your day. And I think people in a Shake Shack feel a sense of this is, they have permission. They have permission to eat a cheeseburger and fries and a shake and not feel shitty about it. And that feels like school's out. That feels like hop on the bike and head down to the park and swing the wiffle ball bat around. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We're trying to turn all of that into something that's really meaningful as a way of introducing the brand to the people who don't really know it yet. But there's something really magic about that kind of warmth and care and the feeling it gives people that they could put their shoulders back and get after it.
oh man, there's a lightness to it. There's a
Yes.
there's like a lightness and a levity. The three L's:
Yes, there's a
lightness,
lightness.
levity, and liberation. There we go. The three
Oh,
L's
I thought you were gonna say lettuce.
and let it. Well, that was the fourth. You can
That
beat
was
me
a
to it.
4.
Right. The lettuce wrap is the
Our
fourth.
lettuce wrap is on fire at the moment. People love it.
Well, love is another good L. So,
Yeah.
okay, look, this is the Courageous podcast, so I have to ask, because there's no courage without fear.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you, like the brand's doing just fine before Michael shows up, right? Like,
Oh my
but
God,
you're,
yes.
but you're like, everything you just said sings to me. It's like
Mm,
sensorial, it's thoughtful,
mm.
it's using all the senses, right? But you're like, do you have any fear whatsoever of like, it was good before me, don't mess this up?
I've never been more afraid of a job in my life. And I've also never been more honored by a job in my life. And it's because, as you say, there's nothing broken with Shake Shack. In fact, it's beautiful. And for 25 years, it's grown from a hot dog cart into this amazing thing. And you look at the numbers and the data, and we get credit for our ingredients and our cooking and our preparation and our cleanliness and our friendliness. I mean, there is nothing broken about this brand. And so you worry, I mean, I worked on Arby's. And when we came in Arby's, we had nothing to lose. So you know what?
Right.
Plant a damn
Totally.
flag around meat, wave that flag, rattle that flag, make noise around that flag, and what's the worst that could happen?
And you
But
crushed it, by the way. Crushed
I
it, by
have
the
a
way.
well, yeah, and funny enough, our client on that, our CMO on that was a guy named Rob Lynch, who's now our CEO at Shake Shack. He's the reason I'm at Shake Shack. So we got some of the band back together, which is great because what a special group of people that was. But yeah, I'm like white knuckled with fear that anything we do on Shake Shack can be a net negative. But but infused in the bones of this culture and this organization is, "Hello, we're happy to see you." And it's from Danny to our board, to our CEO, to our executives, to our team, to the guests, when we walk into Shake Shack. I was just out at our operations summit where we get hundreds of the people who run our shacks and run areas of our footprint together. And these people built this company. And who the hell am I, fancy ad guy coming in with a point of view? But I never felt that because, again, hospitality says, hello, we're happy to see you. And we could disagree, and we'll all disagree along the way. But yeah, I've never been more afraid, and I've never been more certain that fear is okay.
It's funny as I'm sitting here, it's hello, I'm happy to see you, but it's also hello, I'm happy to see you again. Like you've known Rob.
Yes.
You've done
Yes.
Rob. Rob's done you.
Yes.
Do you think that part of this experiment is you kind of know who not to surround yourself with as much as who you again, like, okay, Rob, you already know enough of the way Rob works probably, and he knows how you work, that it just lets you get to work. Is that how important? I guess how important is team and your philosophy as you build your team out? What again? If there's a pie chart of I wish I knew blank percent of my team, but I also want this percent new because I want to stretch and learn, and you never know, and I
Yeah.
want to be surprised. What's the blend look like?
It's funny. I only realized this when I was about a year into my job at General Mills. General Mills recruited me to be their first ever chief creative officer and kind of run consumer marketing there. And I'd never been in a big, multi-layered corporation where everybody but me had their MBA. And after about a year, I realized all of the energy in that culture, and probably many, many, many cultures like it, is vertical. I'm looking up at my boss. What does my boss think? What does my boss's boss think? Can I say this? Will my boss be happy? Will my boss be mad? And occasionally you look down. I will manage people and I will direct people and I will learn how to lead people. And it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down and it's vertical energy. And I think the best teams I've ever been a part of have very horizontal energy. And by that, I mean they look out at the culture, at their consumers, at the people around them. And what's so amazing about Rob, but Shake Shack in general, is that we're a serious company with serious organization, with serious levels of seriously smart people. But at the end of the day, we are much more concerned with what our guests think and feel than what our bosses think and feel. And the permission to do that, again, it starts with Danny. It's embodied in Rob, and it's super empowering. It's great.
So you're what? How long are we in on this thing now?
6 months. I'm a baby.
6 months. Wow. Okay. Have you found a
Almost
moment?
the same time. Almost the same time. I was an orphan between being adopted, between being born and being adopted.
Yeah, but back then that's a very long time.
Funny
It's your
enough,
whole
do you want to hear
life.
something bizarre? Do you want to hear something bizarre? The
Of
Shake
course.
Shack office in New York is literally next to the building I grew up with after I was adopted. So I was adopted at 4 months old. My parents lived on Leroy Street. We were on Varick Street, right around the corner. I literally look out my window at work and see the building where I was a baby.
I mean, what else could possibly say welcome? Well, we're happy to see you. Come on, welcome
Right?
home. Welcome
Right?
home. Welcome home. All right.
Mm.
So where have you? I know you well enough just by this conversation to know you have a point of view, but you're a good listener first. And you're a team player, but when it's time, there's probably a Michaelism that you're like, oh, I can make this better now. I'm going to sprinkle in a little of Michael here. And again, this isn't about gloating. This is just like there's a place, there's a moment, there's a reason you're still there, right? To do what you like. Has there been a moment already where you're like, this is the one spot where I'm getting in there. It could be internal, it could be external. Have you found a moment yet where you've shot your shot already?
No, I don't think so. And I don't know if there is going to be a moment to shoot a shot. I think the nature of this brand is that it behaves in a way that's a little organic and authentic. It's not like we're Burger King launching our big new $40 million campaign on the Oscars. We're gonna do more and more communications, but I think it's gonna feel you're gonna wake up one day and go, "Holy shit, I love what Shake Shack's been doing."
More
But I don't
discipline.
know, I learned something when I was doing Arby's that I think has become a principle for the way I try to approach teams and things and marketing in general. Um, I wrote the brief, "We Have the Meat." Did a lot of work. Oh my God, Arby's just stands for roast beef. Who wants that? That's old fashioned. That's small, but meat, man, everybody loves meat. So I wrote, "We Have the Meat," and I handed it to my creative director, brilliant guy named Jeff Kling, who I'd worked with for years.
Kling. Nice. What's up,
Kling.
Kling?
And Kling goes, "Dude, this is the worst brief you've ever written." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "This is just terrible." I'm like, "No, it's good." It's like roast beef meat, roast beef meat. It's like, "No, it's terrible." And then he took a Sharpie out from behind his ear and he added an S at the end. "We have the meats." And he goes, "Now it's good." And damn it,
Hilarious.
he was right. He was right.
Hilarious.
He took a very rational menu claim, a pronouncement of fact, and turned it into a lyric. Right? "We have the meat" is fine, but "we have the meats" is what kids are still saying to one another because it's slightly weird, it's slightly odd. And I guess if there's one thing that would be my shot that I'd want to take, it's creating the opportunities for the people in the organization to bring a little of their own weirdness, their own idiosyncrasy, their own
I love that.
peculiarness, uniqueness to the situation at hand, because otherwise you are distilled to blandness. Otherwise, you're marketing. And so I don't know. That's medicine I got to take myself. I got to show up with my executive team. I got to show up with our board, and I've got to find the courage, the kind of emotional wherewithal to to make meat into meats, to make things that seem rational and responsible and data supported a little bit weirder than we think they are.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's what a great story. And I'm going to give Kling some more credit. I'm going to do it in a way that also gives Carl Lieberman and Brandon Henderson.
Oh, those are the guys.
Right, because everyone claims that they came up with most interesting
Those
man in
guys
the world.
did. Those
And
guys
I was
did.
in the office we called them the Sponge Boys back then. That it was Kling and it was Carl and Brandon that were like they are the most interesting guys in the world.
They
and
are,
their brains are.
Caroline and Mary wouldn't
Yes,
have
and
happened
Mary,
without
yes.
them. It was amazing. Again, I think the interesting story there is that it took them a long time. That was a long and painful process to get to that, because
Well,
sometimes this thing we do is long and painful, and other times it's instant and intuitive. And that's
we have the
okay.
meat, we have the meats, right? It's no different, right? It's iterative. Like, also, I think the thing that I remember, and I'm not going to pretend to be in many of the rooms and conversations, other than I literally was in the room with these guys. They were my roommates, my office mates. I thought the thing that I liked the most was, talk about courage, was fighting the client on how old the most interesting man should be. Because if
Yes.
he's actually interesting, he's not 22 with, you can
Yeah,
grate
that's right.
cheese on his abs, right? Like, they had to have seen some things, and that was the fight worth fighting. And
Yeah.
by the way, here we are again. Guess who's back on the air? Can you believe it? Of
But
course.
it disappoints me so much, Ryan. It breaks my heart.
We're
I
not
remember
we will.
I was walking down a street in New York years ago. I was at Fallon at the time, so it was post our years in Europe. And I saw Dos Equis billboard, and I took a picture and I sent it to Kling, and I go, "It's over. It's over." Because the line was a picture of the most interesting man, and it said, "He's always welcome at ladies' night." And I thought, that's not interesting.
Yeah.
Like the number one rule of being the most interesting man is you need to be interesting. And my problem with this resurrection of the campaign is that the least interesting thing a brand can do is dig into its old playbook. The least interesting thing. Now, I think some of the lines are nice and lovely, but I just think the act of let's go back to the tape that worked 10 years ago. That doesn't sound interesting to me, dude.
No, yeah, your strategy is showing. I mean, we clearly get what's going on with the business by this choice. I mean, there's nothing else to be said
Yeah.
on it, right?
Yeah.
All
By the way,
right.
where are Carl and Brandon? Haven't heard much from those guys lately.
Well, yeah.
I'm joking.
God, I've been trying to get Carl on the show forever, and then
he's busy.
he's a busy guy. He's doing his
Yeah.
thing, and it's cool how we've all sort of scattered the country. I know from talking to Ron Berger that he was exploring. I don't know if it was like a just do it to do it, but like a documentary on what we had done, what all of us had done, and all the places we've gone, and what we learned there. And I'll tell you what, Michael, maybe this is a great place to wrap. What I learned from Ron and Tom, because those were really the two on the door that I spent the most time with. They were always like, "You're not in advertising; you're in creative business." And I don't know if you were there at the time when we had the creative business idea, the CBIs.
The CBIs, yes.
Right? But I don't think that's any different than now.
No.
I still feel that it's not about marketing is the story at the end of the conveyor belt. It's like from the leader's lips through the culture out into the customer. It's one idea that lives everywhere. And what is that creative business idea? As you think about the next, this march, right? Like this next 1,000-day march to sprinkling a little bit of weird or welcoming or wherever you so choose to take it. If you come on the show, we'll call it 2028. What are you hoping? Where's the shift? Or where's the growth? Is it simply I don't know yet, which is a very fair answer.
No, I mean, listen, there's a lot of tangible business growth. We're expanding, we're growing, our same shack sales are increasing, our EBIT is increasing. As a public company, all of our goals are out there. But I'll tell you, I would be really proud if that number of people who feel guilty the minute they eat fast food starts to decrease dramatically. I mean, we should love food that's out and about, fast casual, QSR, fast food, call it whatever the hell you want. But we should love being able to be in a car with our family, going to soccer practice, grabbing a quick lunch, being on vacation in a new city. Like, we should love the idea of going into a place like Shake Shack and eating something and feeling great about it. So, I mean, for me, I'm not here to just help Shake Shack, obviously job 1, 2, and 3, but we are really on a mission that food can stand for something good in the universe, or rather eating can stand for something good in the universe. That the act of eating, of getting people around a table for burgers and fries and a shake should leave you feeling better, not worse.
Michael, man, what an awesome episode. And I love that we actually started with the crazy, just your life,
Oh,
Michael.
Thanks for inviting me to open that up, you know. It's and thank you as well for helping me see some connections between that and work. You got me thinking a lot, dude. Thank you so much.
I wish we had more time. I would have brought your kids into this. You probably would be glad I didn't because because I know one of them is doing. I can only see what you post, but like there's some cool stuff. The music scene, like how fun is
They're
that? I don't know
awesome.
if that. So
They're
uh,
amazing kids, and they're all so different. We got a Boy Scout, we got a filmmaker, we got a guy going to study philosophy at Boston College. We got a lot going
wow.
on. It's great.
Okay, keep at it, and I will stay in touch. I won't put the pressure on the accountability partner this very second, but let's keep talking. And who knows?
Let's
Because I
do
might
it.
need you. I might need you as an accountability partner. So, all right,
Amazing.
Michael.
I
Keep
appreciate it,
doing.
dude.
See you, buddy.
Thanks
Great
so much,
stuff.
Ryan. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.